Now, I will go to the meditation session for today. Today's meditation is from Keno Upanishad. Why I have taken Keno Upanishad is there are some students who are listening to these talks who are also coming on Saturdays for my Keno Upanishad class. So I have taken today these two verses because if you learn these verses this week and next week also, I will try and take the same two verses so that you get a deeper understanding of these verses. Kene shitam pratati preshitam manaha. Kena prana prathama praiti yuktaha. Kene shitam vachimimam vadanti. Chakshu shotram tau devo yunakti. That is the verse. It's a very, very beautiful verse. I'm going to take the details in my Saturday session, but here I'll just give you a gist of it. A very well-versed student who knows that there is some spiritual essence in the world. He's not a blank person, but he has gone through some scriptures and he has understood Tattva Bodha, understood that there is some essence. He goes to a teacher. What does he ask? He asks a question. Kene shitam patati preshitam manaha. By whom is this mind directed towards its objects? By whom is this mind directed towards its object? There is a director of the mind. There is some power which is without which the mind cannot think. How does the mind think? Does the mind think? Does the power of thinking belong to the mind itself? That is the question. Is there an active activator, or is there a passive activator? Normally, we will think that the mind is willing. It has a willpower. Or we will say that somebody is ordering the mind. My wife tells me to do something. I go and do it. Mind takes the orders. Vak, through speech. We hear somebody and we act. Mind, or we say that the mind does its own actions. It can act itself. So student is not clear whether there is an active activator of the mind or which is called as preshitam. The Upanishad uses two words, preshitam and ishitam. Kena ishitaha, kena preshitaha. Ishitaha means there is a difference. I'm giving you the gist of what Shankaracharya explains in his Bhashya. You will not find this in other commentaries. Shankaracharya says there is a difference when the Upanishad uses Preshitam and Ishitam. I will be going through the depth of this discussion in my Saturday class. But here, today for our understanding and meditation, I am only taking the verse and a simple meaning, and then we'll try and reflect on it. Normally, we think that there is only an activating principle, means it will activate, it will instigate, it is impelling by nature. controlling. It is controlled. Normally we say it is, I am controlled by something. Like the car is controlled by the driver. So for the mind also, there is a active driver is our normal understanding. The Upanishad is not talking of this normal active driver. And the normal active driver is done by, is what is called as Preshitam. Preshitam means through three methods: Vak, Karma, and Ichha, desires. Through my own will and desire, and I will act. The mind acts. The mind has its own desires, mind has its own willpower, it acts. That is the understanding of a normal human being. Shankaracharya says, if that is what the Upanishad wants to reveal, you don't have to come to Keno Upanishad. A student who comes to the Keno Upanishad doesn't want to know about normal behavior of a mind, the normal understanding. He wants to know there is some other principle, which is a spiritual principle, which is different than the mind. It is not the inert mind. It is matter is inert. It cannot decide on its own. It cannot will on its own. It cannot desire on its own. It needs spiritual light to desire. It needs spiritual light to will. It needs spiritual light to act. See how deep I'm going in this first verse of Keno Upanishad. Preshitam means active, activator. Ishitam means passive activator. We are not aware of this. Passive activator means what? In the presence of the consciousness, the mind acts. In the presence of the consciousness, the sense organs act. In another way, when we put it, it is called as blessed by consciousness, the mind acts. Blessed by consciousness, the sense organs act. So what is Atma now? In Prajnanam Brahma, what is Atma? It is not an active activator of the body and mind. In its presence, the whole creation wakes up in the waking state, disappears in the dream state, and again it becomes manifest in the waking state, becomes unmanifest in the sleep state. What is changing is the world. Manifest, unmanifest. World includes body, mind, and the entire cosmos. What is not changing is the Atma. In its presence, everything is revolving. That is the commanding principle. That is the activating principle. That is the invigorating principle of the whole cosmos. Preshitam means blessed by. Preshitam, see, I'm using two words, Ishitam, Preshitam. Ishitam means blessed by. In the presence, Sanidhya Matrena. Preshitam means actively blessing. I will go into the depth of this, slightly more depth next week. But today, for our understanding, let us just meditate on the first line. Keneshitam patati preshitam manaha. Next week, I will talk about Kena prana prathama praiti yuktaha. How does the prana work in this body? How does the speech work in this body? How do I speak? Through what principle do I speak? Through what principle my intellect goes through the eyes into the world, or my ears go through the sound? What is that principle? What a beautiful question. We have never thought of this, but this is how Upanishads wants to reveal the spiritual essence in us. Okay, please close your eyes. Spine erect, eyes closed, gentle breathing. Please watch your breath at the tip of the nostrils. Breathing is a natural process which takes place in this body from birth to death. The body is not breathing by itself. There is a power, like electricity behind the bulb. I don't see the electricity, but I know the electricity. I don't see the consciousness, but through the scriptures, I know the existence of consciousness. That power is called as Atma. It is the same power which illumines my mind in the waking state. It is the same power which illumines the unmanifest state of the mind, which is called as sleep or ignorance. Atma is an independent principle. It is like the light of the sun. When I experience the sun, the body is awake, the mind is awake. In the presence of the sunlight, the body wakes up. That presence is called in Sanskrit Sanidhya Matrena, mere presence. I am the Atma, the pure consciousness. Nityaha, always existing. In every meditation session, I remember my nature. I am Atma. The body, mind, emotions, thoughts, the inert world, they're all anatma. Anatma cannot exist, cannot appear and disappear by itself. In my presence, the body-mind complex appears in the waking state and disappears in the sleep state. Manifest, unmanifest. This is the first lesson in meditation. This is the essence behind the first verse in Keno Upanishad. I am Atma, Nityaha, permanent, Nirvikaraha, changeless, Nirgunaha, without attributes. I repeat 3 times in my own mind. Nityaha, nirvikaraha, nirgunaha. When I utter the three words, I remember the meaning. In your own mind, repeat. I am Atma. Nityaha. Nirvikaraha. Nirgunaha. Eternal, changeless, attributeless. Eternal, changeless, attributeless. Eternal, changeless, attributeless. Let this thought go deep in my mind, into my subconscious mind. I'm always aware of this fact. I am eternal, changeless, attributeless. I have full faith in the Upanishads and hence I repeat these three words as my nature. Nityaha, nirvikaraha, nirgunaha. I am. Aham asmi. Try to remember this as many times in a day as possible. This will bring a transformation in your mind set. I develop Atma Vasana by repetition. This is the statement of the truth revealed in the Veda. Om. 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 Purnamada Purnamidam Purna Purnamudacchade Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavasishyade. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Bring your attention back to the breath in your body. Become aware of the body. Gently open your eyes.